Excellent. Thank you, Kelly.
Great. Welcome, everybody, to our presentation, Supporting Collaborative Teamwork, How to Succeed with Group Projects. And as Kelly said, your presenters today are Patrick Henry, Academic Writing Support Coach at Wolfson Campus, and myself, Kimberly Logan Hines. I'm a writing tutor also at Wolfson. Today, our workshop objectives include what are the first steps to take when getting a group project started, recognizing team members' strengths to build the best team, how to organize and schedule a group project using project management software like Microsoft Planner, assigning roles and tasks to get everyone involved, and building consensus to achieve your collaborative teamwork goal. Melissa Venable says in her 2019 article titled How to Survive Group Projects in an Online Class, boy, that was pre-pandemic even, that quote, collaborative assignments let you get to know your peers better through the exchange of ideas and information. Each person brings a unique perspective and background to the work, allowing everyone to learn from one another, end quote. By forging solid group relationships, you can find success later, whether it's in a student cohort or with your peers in your chosen career. In Kelly and Ivan's session from this morning, session A, they were talking about active learning, and I was just really struck by how much group projects and collaborative teamwork are ways to engage students in active learning, and of course this leads to a much deeper understanding from the students. So you've been given a group project. What can you do to get it up and running as efficiently as possible? At your first meeting, start by setting up your group logistics. Have everyone introduce themselves with a few sentences on their background and the strengths they can bring to the team. Choose a leader. Organizational abilities and a desire to assume the role are pluses here. Other group roles can be researcher, writer, editor, troubleshooter, and presenter. When a team member is taking a leadership role, recognize the need for different task loads. For instance, editors and presenters will be doing more work towards the end of the project. Exchange everyone's contact information and preferred times and methods of communication. This can lead directly to a discussion of project management software. MDC offers everyone the use of Microsoft Planner, which we utilize for this presentation. Patrick will be speaking about Microsoft Planner in detail a little bit later on. The next major task for your first meeting is to clarify the goals of the project. After the team has discussed and agreed upon the scope of the project, divide it up into assignable tasks. By using the backward planning concept, you can ensure that your project will be completed on time. Start with a due date and work backward to plot milestones and deadlines, allowing as much flexibility as possible, and incorporating many deadlines is helpful to stay on schedule. Be sure to allow plenty of time at the end to deal with unexpected challenges and ample time to collate, edit, and finalize the project, whether you're going to be giving a group presentation or it's going to be in written form or even both. Once you have your dates and tasks agreed upon, go ahead and assign them to team members and enter that information into your project management program if you're using it. Assigning tasks to members by matching their strengths is necessary roles is a great way to set up your team. This is a good time to talk about realistic expectations for everyone. And as we all know, that it is not okay to show up at the end without having done your work. Making a plan B now is useful for anticipating potential challenges later on. Consider a written agreement. A written agreement allows everyone on the team to understand the important components of collaborative teamwork. It can include group contact information, the process of participation, accountability, and decision-making. It should have a communication plan which outlines how and when to meet, and the tools to share and complete information. The project timeline will be in there, which includes all milestones and deadlines in detail. It can identify potential challenges and how to work through them by using a challenge resolution framework. I think challenges right now are so varied now. You don't have to worry only about the person that doesn't do their work, but you have to worry about, you know, in the pandemic, with people becoming ill, or working online, people having connectivity issues as well. So there's a lot of challenges that you can think about before they become problems, and you can put those into your challenge resolution framework. It's important for all group members to have their concerns heard and for all to acknowledge the importance of the written agreement. Now we're going to do a short activity on team strengths. Take it away, Patrick.
All right, perfect. I think I advanced that too much. Okay, so we're gonna brainstorm activity here. We just want to lead into the next section when we talk about building a team. So we're gonna really talk about brainstorming some essential strengths a team should have, or made up from the individuals of the team, right? And so we're talking really about you know, somebody who is an activator, who is has a lot of energy, possibly somebody who is analytical and likes to do a lot of the research and the behind the scenes things. So, you know, making up a team is real important to have a diverse team. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout rooms, randomly assigned. In the group setting in the breakout rooms, just go ahead and you know, talk about the strengths of a team amongst yourselves. We're going to give you about 3 minutes to discuss, and then we'll report out in the main room. I'll just ask, you know, groups. It looks like we have, let's see, two groups, so it's nice and easy. So just in your group, make sure you pick a spokesperson to report out, or if you want to chat into the box, I think that works pretty well too in this environment. So I'm going to hit start, give you 3 minutes, and we'll come back. So remember to brainstorm 3 essential strengths a team should have. All right, here we go. All right.
Well,
Hi,
that's
everybody.
exactly what happened.
Yeah. We're all back in the main session now. So that 3 minutes went quick, right?
Well, it sure did.
It sounded like we had some good discussion
I
here.
thought we had 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I've got the timer right in front of me. It goes quick. It does go quick. So hopefully you had a chance with the 3 minutes to discuss some of the strengths a team should have. So hopefully you had enough time to choose a spokesperson.
We have an idea.
Okay, good. All right. So I've got group 1. Did you guys get a chance to discuss amongst yourselves and come up with some things?
I forgot if I was group 1 or 2.
No, that's fine. Whatever you might have.
Okay, so for our group, we thought communication is essential. Sometimes students don't communicate, and that creates a lot of issues within the thought process and brainstorming and things like that. It's important for everyone to focus on goals, like what we do in education with outcomes. We need to you know, design instruction based on outcomes, right? That's where we want to achieve. So we thought that was important too, and it's just good communication. It increases motivation as well. You need a leader, right, as part of the group that can guide everyone in the right direction. So that's like where we had time to discuss during the 3 minutes.
Excellent. And those are and that's great, Ivan and Ed and everybody else in group 1 that discussed that, because that's going to get into the next part. We're going to talk about building a team, understanding those skills and those strengths, and then maybe using some tools, some project management tools that incorporate communication, that incorporate goal setting and tracking, and keep people motivated and engaged in the project throughout the whole time. So we're going to be talking about those essential parts of collaborative teamwork moving forward. Anybody from Team 2? You guys get a chance to discuss a little bit about some of the essential strengths? Perfect, because communication, yes.
Eh,
Thank you. And willingness and motivation. Excellent, excellent. Those are all great things. And so that was kind of a little bit of a brainstorm activity to lead into the next part, and that is on how to build a successful team. Organization. Great, Johnny. Thank you.
Okay, so how do you build a great team? Encourage group members to utilize their soft skills. What's the difference between hard and soft skills? According to Robert Patterson's article titled Hard versus Soft Skills. Hard skills are skills where the rules stay the same regardless of which company, circumstance, or people you work with. In contrast, soft skills are skills where the rules change depending on the company culture and the people you work with, end quote. Soft skills are so important. They're really what gets things done. And LinkedIn Learning has did their employer survey of 2020 and identified these 5 soft skills as being critical. And those are at the bottom of the slide there. Creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. And so when people were talking about motivation and enthusiasm, willingness and motivation in the chat after the activity, that's where you have a lot of emotional intelligence coming in with people being mature enough to work for the team goals. So I choose to say that I need to move the slide. Okay, so soft skills can be your ticket to success. Internal soft skills are concerned with how you interact with yourself. External soft skills, on the other hand, are all about how you interact and work with the people around you. Both types of skills are valuable to employers and are critical in collaborative teamwork. It's all about negotiating, compromising, and communicating with others to achieve your shared goal. I chose a few soft skills to discuss in greater detail. The first one is accepting and learning from criticism. This is also termed receiving feedback. And I know we've all been on both the giving and receiving end of criticism and feedback. So some of the important concepts about that is that both the giver and the receiver of the feedback should focus on the truthful elements of the criticism and not to focus on each other's personalities. You should avoid relationship bias. You can listen to your team members. If they're giving you feedback about your job and what you're doing, listen to them. And while you may view them as co-equals, sometimes it's better to listen to them at the beginning rather than waiting for your boss to step in and give you some more critical feedback that might be a little bit more difficult to take in. By asking for honest feedback regularly, you can keep your work standards high and you can complete your project on time. Critical thinking and problem solving is the process of carefully and systematically analyzing problems to find ways to solve them. By identifying several possible solutions, you can then logically evaluate each one to find the best outcome. Effective communication skills are critical for success. In every group project and employment situation, you'll need communication skills. These are the tools you can use to clearly and effectively converse with others, work on projects, and set expectations. Expectation management plays a huge role in collaborative teamwork situations. Being able to effectively communicate, organize, and direct resources to an achievable outcome is important. It's wise to not make assumptions that team members know what they should be doing. Project management software can really play a helpful role in this situation. Adaptability is another important soft skill. It's key to be able to rapidly learn new skills and technology in response to changing circumstances while not focusing on the way things used to be. You need to assimilate what's happening now, assimilate the new technology, and move forward with it without dwelling in the past. These programs supplement and reinforce soft skills to support your team. So one of these things is project management software is an excellent tool, and Patrick's going to be speaking about that now. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Kimberly. So we're going to talk about some project management tools. I'm going to just briefly talk about the ones up here on the screen. These are some of the ones that are used today across many industries: education, corporate. Every organization uses a lot of these different types of tools, and they all pretty much do the same thing. There's some bells and whistles that differentiate them, between them, but they all do a couple of essential things, and that's being able to communicate goals, tasks, projects, and getting everyone together for a common goal, goal tracking, project tracking. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Wrike. So Wrike is a paid tool. A lot of IT professionals use these. In fact, the ones on this page are paid. So I'm going to talk about a couple of free ones in the next couple of slides that we all have access to as tutors. So Wrike, I've used in the past for IT projects. A lot of instructional designers use that. It's nice because there are project dashboards that are very visually appealing that people use for Wrike. Asana is the same way. In fact, Asana is used by some big companies like Uber, Airbnb. A lot of the IT software companies use Asana because of the connectivity with plugins and other software that you can integrate into it. So that's one I've used in the past. Basecamp is another one on the bottom there. That is another IT client-specific project management tool. You can really design client-specific projects around it. It's got a communication tool that's really great. You can communicate with people outside of your organization as you would have if you had a lot of clients. And then the resource planning tool within Basecamp is really good. The Zoho, which is down there too, is really customer service based. So maybe a lot of folks who are going into a business major or will go work for a big company, maybe like AT&T or FPL, where there's a lot of big customer base, and maybe using something like Zoho. So it's customer focused. It's got a ticketing system. So a lot of smaller IT companies like to use that for their own internal ticketing systems. Smartsheet, which is right above there. That is, I've used it in the past for marketing-oriented type projects, so it really helps track marketing campaigns. It's a nice tool. It is, all of these, the license fees depend on how big your organization is, if you're a nonprofit, if you're a for-profit, but they do cost money. The most widely known one, and I've got that in the middle on the upper one, is the big green P, and that's Microsoft Project, and that has been around for a long time. So Microsoft has that as part of their software suite. Project managers like to use that because it has a lot of great reliability and support. Microsoft has been in this game for a long time, and it's one of the most reputable software companies in the world, and so the support for this is outstanding. It's really helpful for financial management, so tracking budgets. So if you have a large project, not to say that we will or we won't, but it is used for financial management. It helps avoid overspending or getting under-financed. When you're looking at multi-year projects, it really helps with multi-year projects because you can track things over a multi-year scope. It's got some nice dashboards. You can predict resource issues by tracking, the resource utilization tool, tracking, people that you have employed, tracking the money spent for certain things, so capital resource utilization, and then delivery. So you can really track that over over time. It is expensive too, so that one is expensive. I know the college probably has a license for it, but those licenses are pretty pricey on an individual side. So I've talked about all these things because I want you to know that there are many out there. In fact, there's a new one called Monday now that they're advertising like crazy on the internet when we were doing our research. So there's a lot here. So I'm going to talk about two specific ones that you can use today that are free. So the first one I'm going to talk about as soon as the slide advances is Trello. So Trello's been around for a little while. In fact, a show of hands, if you want to just put up, anybody used Trello in the past, or is it completely new to you? Any no, nope. Okay, all right. So Trello's been around for at least 7 or 8 years, and it's a real easy setup. There is a free version where you can have up to 10 users, and the nice thing about this is it's reliable because it's been around for a long time. Assigning your teams is pretty simple. In fact, another tool that we're going to look at next is very similar to Trello, where from a visual standpoint, you can see buckets and columns of items within your project that you can easily visualize and move and make changes to. The nice thing about Trello is that you can communicate with people outside of your organization. So that's a real strong tool, especially if we're involved in projects with community leaders and are not part of our MDC org. This would be a great tool to use. And remember, it's easy. You can track small projects or multiple projects. I've used this in the past. When I reported to my manager, I would keep a project for myself because we would have weekly meetings, and I would have a project, say weekly meeting, and I would add to it every meeting so I knew what we discussed the previous meeting, just to keep myself organized. So this is not only a project management tool, but it's good for keeping your organized thoughts as well. So definitely check out Trello when you get a chance. The one that I'm going to spend the most time on today, though, is something that we all have access to, and that is Microsoft Planner. And it's part of our Office 365. It's this little icon. It looks very similar to Microsoft Project. In fact, it's a watered down version of Microsoft Project, and it's very similar and very easy to understand and use. There is some training through CIOL. They have, I think, a 30-minute training on how to use Microsoft Planner. There's other trainings out there on YouTube that you can look at too on how to use it, but I think it's very easy to understand and use, very intuitive for the user. Again, you can communicate with all members of Office 365, which is within our MDC group here. It's real nice because it integrates really well with Outlook. So as Kimberly can attest to, when we started putting in these milestones and these tasks that had due dates, we would get bombarded by emails. In fact, I just had an email reminder at the start of the session from Microsoft Planner that says, "Hey, your presentation's today." which is good. If I was oversleeping, it would let me know that we have this presentation today. Changes are automatically saved. Again, very similar to Trello, where it has like buckets and tasks. And I've got some other things. Ed, let's see. Ed had a few questions, so I'm gonna pause because I saw a few questions come through. Can Planner be used to organize one's? Absolutely, Ed. Absolutely, and I'll show you in a little bit what that looks like from a visual perspective.
Excellent.
So it's really easy to format with tabs, checklists, and labels. So it can be visually appealing. So without any further discussion on this from mine, I'm going to show you instead of me just talking to you. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So here is the Planner tab. As you can see, these little 3 dots up here at the top. This is where, in fact, these 3 dots up here. This is where the Planner where you can go between Outlook, between your calendar. This is really the hub of Microsoft Office 365, and you can select Planner. And when that comes up, you're going to be in your Planner hub, and you'll see all the plans that you have assigned to. I've only got a couple of plans, so it's just going to show the most recent plans. And so you would click on this bucket here, MDC Group Project Presentation, and that would bring me to a new screen that opens up with these buckets of things. So I've got two buckets right now. I've got the to-do bucket. I've got Kimberly's items in one bucket, and then I actually have another bucket that I didn't take a screenshot of, and that's my items, Patrick's items. So we can individualize this as well between group members, and you can create these tasks with specific due dates, and you can assign team members to it. So we're going to take a look at this presentation run through that we had on the 15th. And so assigned to that are myself and Kimberly. And when you click on that, you will go into this task, and it's got even more functionality in here. So you can see the last time that we had changed this task up top. It gives you an indication of when it might have been changed. You can add really nice things like labels, which is similar to what you can do with Trello to make it a little bit more visually appealing. The bucket that it's in, the progress. So this progress is right now not started. So this is actually now says completed. And then we can assign a priority to it, high, low, medium, a start date and a due date. Any kind of notes. So this is nice to communicate within the task between group members. So if we had like 4 or 5 group members, somebody could write a note, hey, I don't understand exactly what the expectations are for the run through, and we can communicate within the task, which is nice, and everybody will get updates through Microsoft Outlook. You can also add attachments, so you can actually, I think what we did was add our slide deck to an earlier task, so you can do that as well, and then comments as well. So the commenting feature works very similar to the note feature. In fact, I think the comment feature would be nice for a bigger group, because you can follow that conversation and it's going to be archived within this task. So there was another thing up here that said charts, which is really nice to look at when you have completed tasks. It's not so nice to look at when you have things that are late, but you can see our progress along the way. So if you had to report out a progress to a supervisor or manager, wanted to know how the project was going, this is a great thing to say, hey, listen, we're on task. We've got all these things completed. Kimberly is doing way more than Patrick is doing. She has many more tasks assigned than him, and so you can see that from this dashboard perspective. Again, that next tab up here, schedule, is nice because you can look at a calendar to see when the milestones and activities are coming up. Which is nice, because you can, if it's a multi-month project, you can see things in advance, so nothing is a surprise here. And trust me when I say that Outlook will not let you forget as well, because that reminder tool it works well. So any questions specifically to Microsoft Planner and how that might work? Because I want to take a little bit of a pause.
Patrick, yeah, can you do like in Teams, in Teams you can have meetings, like will this link up to have remote meetings through this?
Great question. Absolutely, because they're both within the Office 365 suite. So yes, very good question. I know that we use a lot of Teams related content, and that is more for larger community or groups. So if the larger group or community had a specific project or task, we can absolutely integrate Planner into that. So that's a really good question. Ed, you had a question?
Yeah, I use Microsoft OneNote for all of my classes. I'm going to guess that this planner will be super compatible with Microsoft OneNote, won't it?
Absolutely. Everything within that. That's the nice thing about Planner, is everything within Office 365.
Yeah.
So OneNote, Skype, Teams, all of these things integrate in our plugins for Planner. I mean, there's a lot more functionality that I am talking about today. I'm just talking about it in the very simplest terms. And it's something that Kimberly and I used for this group presentation today, just to make sure that we were on task and that we were communicating things, which is, I think, some of the essential strengths in a group that we just talked about.
And I'm going to guess it'll work well with PowerPoint as well.
Absolutely, all Microsoft. So that's the nice thing about this, that it has over Trello. Trello, the nice thing about that is that you can communicate with people outside of your organization. Not as easy with a Planner. I think they just have to have a Microsoft account to be able to be part of the group. But with Trello, it's a lot easier to communicate. So that's I wanted to talk about those things. Our next slide is how to get everybody participating, right? So the first thing was to use a project management tool like Planner. That's probably a good start. Building in these mini deadlines into your projects, through tasks or milestones, is a great way to keep everybody participating. In fact, when you do that, it feels good too when you accomplish something in the short term. Even though the project might be longer, it keeps everybody engaged that way, and it keeps them participating when they know that things are being accomplished. I think frequent status meetings are real key, and so that's what Kimberly and I did throughout this whole process, and I know probably Kelly and Ivan did the same thing, that they met multiple times to talk about the workshop and how it was coming along, if we had to make any adjustments along the way, and like Kimberly said, it keeps everyone on the same page. Now, there's times when there's a group member that may not be participating, and so it could be all kinds of things. It could be a lack of communication. Maybe the communication was not there. Maybe the understanding of the project is not there. I know we have to here go talk to your supervisor if needed, but before that step, I think just talking to the individual. So whoever was identified in the beginning of that project as the group spokesperson or leader, I think just a conversation with a team member is real key in this time, because with our theme of empathy, we're not sure what's going on, right? We don't know what all may be going in that person's life. So talking through those things and understanding and showing empathy would be really helpful to get somebody participating. Maybe there was an obstacle in the way that got them from participating. So it's always key to communicate and talk with one another. Another great thing is if as we've seen in 2020, if things are going just not how you planned, have another plan. I think Kimberly talked about that in the beginning with the group agreement. Make sure you have an alternate plan, and so you may have to enact that if you're getting very low participation within a group project. It might be time to do something a little bit differently or change it up, because at the end of the day, there's a project and there's a due date, a hard due date, and so we don't want to lose sight of that. Getting that completed. So having that alternate plan helps tremendously as well. So with participation, sometimes we need to talk about consensus, because maybe that is one of the obstacles that was in the way to get people participating, is because not everybody is on board with that. So consensus is really about pooling all of your opinions or brainstorming, listening to one another, being respectful to one another's ideas, create these safe spaces where you can discuss ideas and differences, where there is no judgment. Consensus is also sometimes not getting everything that you want, and that's called compromise. So you have to be able to live with it and get behind it. Everyone in the group has to get behind the project for it to be successful. I really believe that, because if there's a few people that are not on board, it could create an obstacle. So coming to agreement, again, that everybody can live with. So consensus is not just somebody taking charge and saying, this is what we're going to do, this group think, everybody is too scared to speak up about it, or bargaining. You know, hey, if I compromise and do this for your project, can you do something else for a project that I have? That's I mean, teamwork is helpful, but bargaining over doing something that you're not behind to do something else and trading chips is not really consensus. So how do you build a consensus? We got a few quick tools on how to do that. As soon as I progress forward, I'm not sure why it's not advancing for me. Okay, so building consensus. There's a few methods. In fact, Kimberly, I don't know if you can try to advance the slide for me for some reason. Okay, perfect, thank you. So methods to help build consensus. One of them is brainstorming. So brainstorming, again, is this safe space. I think I've done this a lot with strategic planning in the past, where we get together a large group of people and we just take out flip charts and start writing ideas down, getting into small groups like we did earlier in that activity, and just brainstorm a few ideas and then report out. That's a great way to start building consensus, because then you get a lot of great ideas out of that, and you can pare that down to maybe 5 or 6 really good ones, and then start to do some multi-voting. So I've seen this where we have color-coded stickers that you can put. You get a green sticker, a blue sticker, and a red sticker. And so the green sticker is the idea that you like the most. A blue sticker is something that you could live with, that you could get behind. Oh, I think I got disconnected there for a little bit, but yeah, the color coding idea is a great thing. And then the red one is something that you just can't get behind. And so then you can, it's more of a voting type of a situation where the idea with the most green stickers or blue stickers, or a combination of the two of those, is the one that advances forward. And we try to avoid, the red stickers. But that's just one method. It's called multi-voting. Nominal group technique is a combination of the both, brainstorming and multi-voting. It really, people, in fact, it's even more sometimes formalized with cards and ballot boxes and things, and that can get really formal. I think for the most part, we want to make it as informal as possible when we build consensus. But there are many techniques. But at the end of the day, the end result of doing this, of getting started with a group project, of understanding your strengths, of building the right team, of picking a tool that can help you communicate project deadlines, making sure everyone's participating, building consensus. The end result is a great, outstanding group project. So that's more or less what we wanted to talk about. There are a few references that we had, this reference sheet. If you have any questions, I think we've got a few minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But what was the name of the MS free tool again? That's Microsoft Planner, Kelly. Yeah, Microsoft Planner. Great. Thanks, Audria. Perfect. And any other questions that we can talk about? Super.
Yeah, for the group project, how do you deal with someone in a group that has like a strong opinion, that won't listen to reason, or just that, I know communication is important, but if you have somebody that's with strong opinion that it's only my way or something, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Leslie. I think what I've experienced in the past is to talk to that person individually. I think sometimes in a group setting, when somebody has such a strong opinion, if it's a great opinion and you see a lot of people, agreeing and speaking up, and there's discussion around it, then that's great. If somebody has a strong opinion and we can discuss it, right? If it's just a single voice, that's a strong opinion, and you don't see a lot of discussion around that, I think as a group leader, it'd be a good idea to just take that person aside and try to listen a little bit more about why are they feeling that way. You can do it in the group setting, but again, that could also, you'd have to watch that. But
I don't think you want the group to gang up on the one member, but like Patrick said, to communicate privately and then to counsel the person that this is a group. It's a group. Everybody is a stakeholder, and everybody's opinion matters and respected.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think a one-to-one basis would be good, just to understand what the person's point of view is. So,
I mean, you can also ask them to research their points and to, if they fit in with the group guidelines and the group goals, that they, that research could be incorporated into the project as well.
Right, and Ivan brings up a good point. That's what the group needs, a pretty good leader. So that's one of the essential strengths, I think, that we discussed earlier.
A good leader.
To have that type of person within the group. It's okay to have more than one of those folks, and that's just managing expectations and building consensus, those techniques. But good points. Any other questions? All right, super. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. At that point, again, this is going to be recorded, or it is being recorded, and we will have this up for everyone hopefully soon.
Thank you, guys. I took some really good notes. Super, super.